The sun was setting behind the dusty horizon of a small town when a group of Marines quietly approached a modest, weather-worn house on the outskirts. They moved with purpose, but there was a softness in their eyes, a warmth rarely seen in the harsh world they served. Today was no ordinary mission. Today, 12 Marines were about to change a life they had been quietly touched by for years. For many, the story of Maria was just another passing news headline, a homeless woman who had lost everything but her spirit. What few knew was that 12 Marines, stationed at a nearby base, had made it their personal mission to care for her. What started as a simple act of kindness, sharing meals and offering small comforts, would soon blossom into something far greater than any of them had ever expected. Maria had lived on the streets for over a decade. Her life had been a series of painful chapters, each one more challenging than the last. Once a hopeful young woman with dreams and plans, life's unpredictable hardships had stripped her of her home, her family, and her security. But despite the struggle, Maria never lost her kindness. She smiled at strangers and spoke words of encouragement to anyone who cared to listen. Her heart remained unbroken even when her world was shattered. The Marines first met Maria during a routine patrol near the town's park. They saw her sitting quietly on a bench, her clothes worn thin, and her eyes reflecting a deep sadness. Moved by her quiet dignity, they stopped and offered her a warm meal. It was a simple gesture, but one that planted a seed of hope. As months passed, the visits became a ritual. Every week the Marines brought food, blankets, and sometimes a fresh coat of clothing. They listened to Maria's stories, shared laughs, and offered a steady presence that she had not known in years. They did not see a homeless woman. They saw Maria, the resilient, kind soul beneath the worn exterior. Lieutenant James Carter, the unofficial leader of the group, often reflected on how much Maria had changed their lives. "She taught us about strength in the face of adversity," he said quietly. "It was never about charity. It was about human connection." Maria's story was not just about survival. It was about redemption. She slowly began to regain her confidence. The Marines helped her find a small shelter and eventually connected her with social services. But Maria's heart longed for something more than just shelter. She longed for love and belonging. One cold winter evening, Maria confided in Lieutenant Carter about a man she had met at the shelter, David. He was kind, patient, and saw her for who she truly was. For the first time in years, Maria felt the flutter of hope that love might still be possible. The Marines supported her quietly, understanding that this was more than just romance. It was a step toward reclaiming her life. Months later, Maria and David announced their engagement. The news spread quickly among the Marines, filling their hearts with pride and joy. They decided that this wedding would be more than just a ceremony. It would be a celebration of resilience, hope, and the power of human kindness. The day of the wedding arrived with a golden sunrise. Maria wore a simple, elegant dress that she had picked herself, the fabric flowing gently as she moved. Her smile was radiant, and for the first time in a long time, her eyes sparkled with pure happiness. David stood beside her, steady and supportive, as guests gathered in a small community hall. What Maria did not expect was the surprise waiting for her. As the ceremony began, the doors opened wide, and 12 Marines walked in, standing tall and proud. The room filled with a hush of awe. These were the men who had fed her, supported her, and believed in her when no one else did. Their presence was a silent testament to the bonds forged through shared humanity. Maria's breath caught in her throat as she recognized each face. Some were smiling warmly, others looked solemn, but all carried an unspoken message. "We are here for you." Lieutenant Carter stepped forward, addressing the crowd and Maria with a steady voice filled with emotion. "Maria," Today is more than just a wedding. It is a celebration of your journey. You have shown us what it means to persevere, to hold on to hope, and to love despite the hardships. Tears welled up in Maria's eyes as the weight of the moment settled in. The Marines had become her family, her protectors, and her friends. Their gift was not just their presence, but the acknowledgement of her worth and dignity. The ceremony continued with vows exchanged, laughter shared, and moments of quiet reflection. The community, touched by the Marines' kindness, joined in with cheers and applause. The story of Maria and the 12 Marines is a reminder that kindness transcends uniforms and circumstances. It teaches us that true strength lies not in power, but in compassion. It shows us that even in the darkest times, human connection can light a path forward. As the reception began, Maria and David danced under twinkling lights, surrounded by those who had walked beside them through every step. The Marines joined in, their laughter filling the air like a promise that no one is ever truly alone. The road ahead would not be without challenges, but Maria had rediscovered something priceless, a community that believed in her and a future filled with hope. This is not just a story about a homeless woman or a wedding. It is a story about the enduring power of kindness and the unexpected ways lives can be changed when we choose to see the humanity in one another. In the days that followed the wedding, the story of Maria and the 12 Marines spread beyond the small town, touching hearts in places they had never imagined. The images of those Marines standing proudly beside Maria as she exchanged vows with David became a symbol of hope for many. But behind the smiles and celebrations lay deeper truths about resilience, kindness, and the power of human connection. Maria often reflected on her journey. "I was lost," she said quietly in an interview. "But they found me, not just with food or shelter, but with respect and care." Her words carried the weight of someone who had been seen when most had looked away. David, now her husband, shared how Maria's strength inspired him every day. She never gave up on herself, even when the world did. And those Marines, they became part of our story, our family. The 12 Marines, too, carried the experience with them like a badge of honor. For many, it reshaped how they viewed their service and their purpose. What began as a small act of charity grew into a profound lesson about empathy and the impact one person can have on another's life. Sergeant Maria Gonzalez, one of the Marines who had been there from the beginning, said, "This experience reminded us all why we serve, not just to protect, but to uplift and care. Maria showed us the real meaning of courage." Behind every act of kindness, there is often an untold struggle. Maria's past was filled with hardship, a childhood marked by loss, a series of mistakes that left her isolated, and years of fighting to survive on the streets. But rather than define her, those experiences forged a resilience that carried her through. Her story is a powerful reminder that homelessness is not a choice. It is a circumstance that can happen to anyone, and it is a call to action, to look beyond judgments, and to extend compassion to those who need it most. The Marines' consistent presence in Maria's life was more than charity. It was a testament to the value of community, of showing up without expectation, and offering dignity to those forgotten by society. In a world often divided by politics and prejudice, their story stands as a beacon of unity. They were not heroes because of their uniforms, but because of their hearts. Their willingness to see Maria not as a homeless woman, but as a human being deserving of love and care is what made all the difference. Maria and David have since become advocates for homelessness awareness, sharing their story to inspire change. They work with local organizations to help others facing similar struggles, proving that hope can transform lives. Their message is clear: kindness is powerful, and every small act matters. A meal, a smile, a listening ear. These can be the first steps toward healing and rebuilding. Lieutenant James Carter often speaks about that moment when the Marines surprised Maria at her wedding. "It was a day none of us will ever forget," he says. "It wasn't about us, it was about her. And that's the lesson. Sometimes the greatest strength lies in lifting others." It was a celebration of second chances, of the unbreakable human spirit, and of the profound impact we can have when we choose to care. As the sun set on that special day, it illuminated more than just a couple's new beginning. It illuminated a path forward, one where empathy conquers judgment, and where every person's worth is recognized. This story teaches us that no matter how dark the night, there is always the possibility of dawn. It reminds us that we all have the power to change lives, not through grand gestures, but through steady, sincere kindness. They simply saw a person in need and chose to stand beside her. Their story challenges us to do the same. Look beyond appearances, listen deeply, and act with compassion. Because sometimes the greatest victories happen quietly, in the hearts touched, in the lives restored, and in the love shared against all odds. Maria's journey from homelessness to hope is a testament to the resilience within us all. It shows that with support, faith, and kindness, even the most broken paths can lead to beautiful destinations. And in that truth lies the most profound lesson of all. We are stronger together, and through kindness, we can build a world where everyone has a chance to belong.